Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Luby. I serve as Special Assistant to Mayor Jones. And thank you so much for coming to our 4th Cabinet and Community meeting this year. Give yourselves a round of applause. We started the Cabinet and Community Initiative about a year ago at the Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club with the purpose of creating transparency with you all and building relationships with the residents. As I said, this is our 4th meeting this year. We've done 2 North and 2 South, and we're concluding here at the O'Fallon Park YMCA. I want to thank the entire team at the Y, including Mr. Lennox Forrester, Representative Kimberly Ann Collins, who helped set up the entire auditorium for you all, and her volunteers. Can we give her a round of applause, please? She worked really hard. She was up at the crack of dawn this morning, and we are so grateful for her help in getting this together for us. I also want to thank Alderwoman Keyes, who will be joining us later for hosting us in her ward today. A couple housekeeping things before we begin. There are water fountains right outside of the gymnasium, and the restrooms are down the hall that way. The vaccine clinic will be here until 12 p.m., so if you haven't gotten your COVID-19 shot, we have folks from Affinia just on the other side of the partition giving away free vaccines. I recommend everyone have a community packet with them, which you would have picked up at the front sign-in table. It has a bunch of really great flyers and information in it, and Mayor Jones will reference different flyers throughout her speech, so I recommend having that so you can follow along with her. If you don't have a packet, can you please raise your hand and we will come bring you one. Also at the sign-in table, we have comment cards. Those are for folks that would rather write their question or comment privately on a piece of paper. We'll also collect those towards the end of the town hall and respond to folks next week and throughout the month of December. Lastly, please silence your cell phones, and I will turn the microphone over to Representative Kimberly Ann Collins, who's going to give a short welcome to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to North City, St. Louis, where you all live and work and play and eat and sleep. I am State Representative Kimberly Ann Collins, and I wholeheartedly represent the city of St. Louis in the Missouri House of Representatives 102nd General Assembly, and on January the 8th, soon to be 103rd General Assembly. My role as a state legislator is to legislate laws, create policy, but it's also my job to oversee the Missouri State operating budget as a legislator and be a good steward of your tax dollars. It is also my job to make sure that I am connecting constituents and residents and everyday working people to resources, whether it be the local level, state level, or the federal level. It is also my job to just go above and beyond. And I'm so grateful that Mayor Jones and her cabinet is here today. This is a good space for us to be in. It's a good space for us not only to be able to hold each other accountable, but also to be able to learn from each other and then also go out of these doors and grow with each other. So I want to thank you all for coming to the O'Fallon Rec Center, and I want to thank you all for coming out today. This is going to be an amazing time to have really good dialogue and, again, be able to hold each other accountable. And, again, let me reiterate, learn from each other, but also grow with each other, okay? If you all have any other additional questions, comments, or concerns for me and anything pertaining to the state level, I will be in the back all the way to the end of this town hall because I have to break down and take the chairs back. Well, I still got to take the tables back. Okay, together. We're going to break down together. So, again, thank you all for coming out, okay? And I'm going to turn this back over to Emily, and we're going to get this show started, okay?
Thank you so much, Representative. And without further ado, Mayor Jones.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I want to first thank Emily Luby in my office for putting all of this together. This is a number, I can't even count how many we've done in several communities, and so this is important for us to bring resources to you instead of you having to come downtown. So we will have an opportunity for you to answer questions, ask your questions later on today. Also want to thank Representative Kimberly Ann Collins for your hard work and being such a great partner to the city, and also she represents her community very well. So can we give Kimberly Ann another round of applause? Also want to again thank YMC Director Lennox Forrester for hosting us on such a busy day in the Y. As we walked in, we saw that the gym was going to be closed until 3. We realized that community uses this space, and we will treat it as sacred as the community does. Also want to thank Affinia Healthcare and the Integrated Health Network and BJC and SSM for providing free COVID and flu vaccines, and Alderwoman Keys will be joining us later. So if you haven't had your flu or COVID vaccine, you can do so on the other side of the curtain. Also, again, this is Cabinet and Community, so we have, I want to introduce the directors that are seated on the dais, as well as give recognition to the other staff who have joined us. So behind me, we have Chief Robert J. Tracy, Director of Public Safety Charles Coyle, Commissioner of Forestry, or is it Forestry or Parks? Forestry, Alan Jakowski, John McLaughlin from the Problem Properties Division, Ed Ware, our Building Commissioner, and last but not least, Jared Boyd, Chief of Staff. It's good to be back here in O'Fallon Park. I grew up close to this neighborhood. I grew up in Walnut Park for many years, walked West Florissant just about every day, every other day, either going to school at Herzog or going to the library at Walnut Park Library or going to the little corner store. And so that's the experience that I want for all families, to feel safe in their neighborhoods, to feel safe when their children walk to school or whatever, or experiencing amenities in the neighborhood. So it's really good to be back what feels like home. And I want to just provide some brief remarks, and again, then we'll open it up for questions, okay? We good? All right. Also, before I start, I want to recognize all the other staff and cabinet who are not on the dais. So staff and cabinet, can you please raise your hand or stand up for me? And we have tons of resources at the tables that are surrounding, so I would ask that you all stay and get to know all of the departments that are here as well. So my vision for St. Louis is one where every family can work hard, get ahead, and thrive, no matter which neighborhood you live in, the color of your skin, or any identity you hold. And we've made real progress in the city over the last 3.5 years on making our city safer, stronger, and healthier. But there's so much work left to be done, and we are far from finished. We are just getting started. So what we've done to make our community safer, we've done a myriad of things. We just broke ground in October on the new 911 Center, which is a $45 million facility, is the biggest investment in public safety in our city in decades. And that's going to combine all of our dispatchers. So many of you may not know that currently, or for a long time, all of our dispatchers were separate. So we had police in one building, fire in one building, and EMS in another place. And that led to a whole host of delays when you call 911. And so with the opening of this new center, we're going to combine all of our dispatchers in one facility, cross-train them, and they'll all be using the same software. So we'll be able to answer your calls in a faster method. And what we've been doing along the way is we've increased pay for our dispatchers, hired more of them, and we've been able to decrease or increase the amount of calls that are answered in the first 10 seconds. So the national standard is 90%. When I got elected, we were around somewhere about 57%. And as of a few weeks ago, we are now at about 75 to 80% of 911 calls being answered in the first 10 seconds. So we're making progress. We're making progress. We also have increased pay. So I'm sorry, we have a new police chief. I can't call you new anymore, can I, Chief Tracy, because you've been here almost 2 years. But we did a national search and hired Chief Tracy. He came to us from Wilmington, Delaware, and he has experience in decreasing crime by double-digit percentages. And in his first year with us, he decreased homicides by over 20%, which in addition to the other 20% that we have been able to reduce homicides. And he's also helped us increase pay for officers and firefighters. We recently graduated a class of 12 recruits, and they're on the street now with field training. And we also have a new class starting with 20 new recruits. So we are slowly but surely rebuilding our staff when it comes to police officers. And 33 are going in tomorrow. So that's some great news. Thank you, Chief. So since 2021, we've been able to reduce homicides by over 40% and reduce other gun-related shootings by over 20%. We've outlawed celebratory gunfire. So on New Year's Eve, when now it is illegal in the entire state of Missouri, and especially in the city of St. Louis, for celebratory gunfire. So I want you to spread the word. No celebratory gunfire. And we've had reductions in all sorts of crime. But where we are focused is a strategy on prevention, intervention, and enforcement. We have an all-hands-on-deck approach to public safety that focuses on the root causes. We've made robust investments in our youth and young people through our rec centers, through the YMCA has been a great partner with that, through SLATE with year-round youth jobs and summer youth jobs. We have a Cops and Clinicians program that pairs a behavioral health professional with an officer to respond to issues when someone is in a mental health crisis or a substance abuse crisis. We even have a non-police response, a community-centered response to help with our unhoused, as well as those experiencing mental or substance abuse crisis. Talk to you about what we're doing with 911 dispatch. And this jacket that I'm wearing is from our Office of Violence Prevention. I just got it yesterday, so love, love, love our Office of Violence Prevention because they are funding our community partners on the ground. Also, one of our great community partners is Show Me Peace. I'm gonna shout you out for a second. Show Me Peace is working in targeted neighborhoods, and they've been able to reduce crime in their targeted neighborhoods by 70%. And so I know that when I talk about reduced crime, to some people it may not feel that way because sometimes it takes time for perception to catch up with reality. And to those who have experienced crime, you may think that we're doing nothing. But please know that we are hard at work trying to reduce crime in a myriad of ways and, again, address it at the root cause. We are also leading a regional crime effort called Save Lives Now that brings everyone to the table from O'Fallon, Illinois to O'Fallon, Missouri. We brought all of these regional leaders to the table to reduce crime by gun violence and homicides by another 20% over the next 3 years. And we're already off to a good start there. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize and take a moment of silence for Colin Brown, the young man who lost his life on 55 just about a week or so ago. So if you could join me in a moment of silence for Colin. Thank you. I know he was laid to rest yesterday, and we will never have true justice for Colin's life because I'm a mother of the most adorable 17-year-old boy myself, and I know that if someone took his life, there would be nothing that anyone could say to me to comfort me about his death. But please know that the police department, our federal partners, FBI, and all of our partners are continuing to do everything they can to find who is responsible for his death and hold them accountable to the fullest extent of the law. So if you knew Colin, everyone who knew or loved Colin is in my thoughts and prayers. So we're investing in city resources and holding and the hardworking people who provide them. We have provided across-the-board raises for city workers over the last 2 years. We're making the hiring process easier and faster by installing new software in the Department of Personnel. And I want to make a quick shout out to the Department of Personnel over here at this table. And if you're looking for a job, they brought their laptop here so they can put all of your information in, and so we won't lose it, because we were using typewriters as of just last year, the year of our Lord 2023. Yes, we were still using typewriters. So I want to thank personnel for doing the hard work and upgrading to the new software system, and making sure that we can decrease the time to get people hired, and make sure that we get people hired to make sure that they are providing city services. We're also holding bad actors accountable in every neighborhood. So we're targeting absentee landlords and property owners through lawsuits, code enforcement, and other means. We've stabilized over 50 properties in the city. We have the Railway Exchange is under eminent domain, or we started the eminent domain process for the Railway Exchange building, and that will soon be in local hands. The Millennium Hotel, we forced the Millennium Hotel owners to sell to a local developer, and so that RFP is now on the street, and I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with that property. And we're demolishing half the structures on LRA properties that were endangering people and their neighborhoods. We also passed short-term rental legislation, or what we call Airbnbs. Those fees will go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and expands the number of affordable housing available in St. Louis, which helps us with our goal, our moonshot goal of building 10,000 new units in the city by 2030. 5,000 will be affordable, 5,000 market rate, so we are looking for partners in that effort. And we also passed gas station nuisance legislation, holding those bad actors accountable and shutting those properties down. We're making landmark investments in our city. If you want to know what we did with the ARPA funds, there are flyers. Jared, you have one. These are door hangers, but also flyers that are in every neighborhood about what we did with the $498 million in ARPA funds that we received. We've purchased new fire trucks, ambulances, electric vehicles. We have paving projects going on throughout the city. Kings Highway has currently been paved a little bit until it got too cold to pave anymore. But please know that Union, Grand, Kings Highway, Goodfellow, and Jefferson are all on the schedule to be paved as soon as it is warm enough to get our trucks back outside. The NGA development is coming, the National Geospatial Agency, which is in North St. Louis or Old North, depending on what you think, right there on North Jefferson. Also along North Jefferson, we will be building, hopefully, the Green Line or expanding public transit. And our people from the Green Line are also in the back here. So if you want to learn more about how we're expanding public transit in the city, please go talk to our friends at Metro. And we are embarking on the biggest capital improvement project in decades in our city, which is airport expansion. If you ever travel through the airport, we know that our airport needs some love. And we are slated to expand our airport. We're gonna combine it into a single terminal again, a little over 60 gates. And so that project hopefully will start next year. And both the MetroLink and the airport projects, assuming that we get the funding in time, will be finished by at least 2031 or 2032. We're also encouraging people to choose St. Louis, whether they're coming from across the state, of the country, or across the world. Recently, we broke ground on a $500 million new battery plant in North St. Louis that's going to bring jobs and industry to North St. Louis. Also, just in November alone, we approved about $1 billion in projects through SLDC. So we want to thank our friends at SLDC for their hard work. And speaking of SLDC, we're making it easier to open businesses and help people expand and investing in small and minority businesses through the Northside Economic Empowerment Center. I see Stacy back there. I always say Stacy and Nicole, but wait, no, Nicole's back here, but Stacy's not here. It's good to see our people at the Northside Economic Empowerment Center here with us today. So if you are a small business, or you know someone who has a small business, or you're thinking about starting one, please see them because they have a ton of resources for you. We're also making our city healthier. One of the things we did with ARPA funds is we purchased 2 mobile health clinic vans so we can bring more healthcare resources to the community. We don't, our Department of Health doesn't provide direct services anymore, but we partner with our local FQHCs and community health centers to bring healthcare to communities. We also opened the Office of New Americans to help our newly settled Americans get access to the resources they need, whether it's jobs or housing or anything else that families need to thrive. We opened the new Behavioral Health Bureau, which connects people to resources also if they are experiencing mental health or substance abuse. And our Behavioral Health Bureau chief is in the back there. Yes. Make sure you get a swag bag from the Department of Health before you leave. It has a lot of good goodies in it. But our Behavioral Health Bureau is something I'm really, really proud of because, again, we realize that mental health and substance abuse are real issues that we need to address in our community. And so our Department of Health, through the BHB, stands ready to do that. They've made big strides in reducing overdoses. They're putting up Narcan boxes around the community. So if you know someone that needs Narcan and you can find a Narcan box, or you can probably get it from the table today. I'm pretty sure that we should all carry Narcan because we never know how we can help our neighbors when they are experiencing a substance abuse crisis. We're also supporting our seniors. And making sure that our seniors can age in place in the homes that they have invested in. We were the first municipality to pass the property tax freeze. We realize that has been a sore spot for some because the schools have been held harmless during our property tax freeze, and so with this bill, you may have seen an increase or not much of a decrease because the school district increased their taxes. But please know that if next year it'll be a full year of a tax freeze, and you should experience that. We've more than doubled the number of seniors we've been able to serve through our Healthy Home Repair program. We had a long waiting list, and we've been able to work with local contractors to shorten that wait list. And other things that we're doing to make our city stronger and healthier. We're computerizing payroll, contracting, and procurement. This is the non-sexy stuff that you have to do in order to make sure that the city is running well. And we're developing a digital front door. So for businesses that spend all day in St. Louis upgrading their license and getting all of the things to do for their small business, soon you'll be able to do all of that online. And I want to give a quick shout out to our Chief Technology Officer, Simon Wang, who's been helping us develop our digital front door. And last but not least, I know the question on everybody's mind, what you gonna do with that Rams money? Well, before I was telling you that we had to make sure that all of our ARPA money was spent first or allocated first. And so with the bill that I signed yesterday, we made sure that all of our money is spent or allocated. We just allocated the last $8.9 million with a bill that I signed yesterday. So all of that has to be allocated by the December 31st deadline, and we're hard at work meeting that deadline. And the funding that we received from the RAM settlement is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we want to use to benefit many generations to come, from Del Mar to Dutchtown to downtown and every neighborhood in between. They deserve to benefit from this investment. The usage of RAM's funds is a result of collaboration between my office, the city departments, the president of the Board of Aldermen's office, and the public input that we received from many of you through public hearing process that lasted all year through committees of the whole at the Board of Aldermen led by Alderwoman Alicia Saunier. Also, Alderwoman Saunier will be filing a bill next week that outlines the major plan, or outlines our plan for RAM settlement funds, which will make major investments in 3 separate funds focused on infrastructure like streets and sidewalks and water infrastructure improvements, children and family like affordable child care and workforce development, and economic development like affordable housing and small business support. So keep an eye out next week for more information about the details of that proposal. And again, we are setting the bar high for transparency, accessibility, and accountability. My team or I regularly meet and attend neighborhood meetings across this community. And when I say my team and I, that means everybody up here, our firefighters, our police officers, that's my entire team. We also hold quarterly town hall meetings like this, or cabinets and community. And our policy priorities are to continue to improve city services. We know they're not perfect, but they're better than they were before, and we have a long way to go. We're gonna build our workforce with our community partners. We're gonna continue to modernize city government and utility coordination. So making sure that when we pave a street, that the utilities don't come right behind us and break it up. We're gonna coordinate all of that to make sure that once it's paved, and if they have to break it up, it's for emergency purposes only. So I wanna thank all of you for coming. This is, I would say, one of the largest turnouts we've ever seen for a cabinet and community, and we wanna thank you for your participation. And we're going to turn it over to Emily now, so she's gonna let you know how we're going to ask questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Mayor Jones. Can we give the mayor a round of applause? Okay, excellent. So we're gonna start our line for Q&A facing me over here. So if you have a question, please quietly get out of your seat and form a single file line.
Hey, Emily, before we
Yes,
do that,
ma'am.
we want to recognize that Alderwoman Keys has joined us. Alderwoman Keys, would you like to say anything?
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. And thank all of you for coming out this morning. This is truly, truly wonderful to see so many of you here. I am Laura Keys. I am the Alderwoman of the 11th Ward. I've been here, thank you. I've been in this seat a little over a year, and we have done an amazing amount of work with lots of more work yet to be done. I started a citywide initiative in 2023, October of 2023, called Tire Amnesty Day. Through those efforts, we have collected thousands upon thousands of tires that have been discarded in our alleys, streets, and roadways. The work is not finished. We continue to have this problem. This is a nationwide problem. It's not a local problem. It's everywhere. I've done workshops in Bell Fountain as well as Spanish Lake because they're having issues as well. But what I want to ask you all is to please be good partners to your alder people. No matter where you live across this city, communicate with your alder persons. I have one phone number. That's my cell number. You get me. You don't get an assistant. You don't get a secretary. You get me. If I don't answer your call, you don't even have to leave a message. I will call you back usually the same day. It's very seldom I roll a call over to the next business day. But in talking about Tire Amnesty Day, I want to turn my attention towards the mayor, because she was the person that came on board to help me to really do this thing and set it off the way that we had 3 major locations, the way that she provided dumpsters. We started off having 3 locations with 3 dumpsters. The need was so great, we have had to increase in some cases to 2 and 3 dumpsters for that once a month pickup, because so many tires are being discarded. I want to thank any of you and all of you who have brought tires to us that you've picked up out of alleys and streets and off of the roads near you. I thank you so much for that. This makes our city so ugly. Unfortunately, this past week, I drove past 3 locations and saw 3 more huge loads of tires We're working on getting those. We've already cleared the ones from University and Grand, but we've got much work to do. But here's your part. Be that partner with your local official. Pick up that phone, call them, and when you see something, say something. You don't have to go out and confront the person who's doing it. Everybody's got a phone. Take a picture. Send it so that this can stop in our community. Our city is a beautiful city, but we have to do our part to keep it looking the way that we need it to look. So I thank you all again. I'm not going to talk long. I'm not a long speech person, but I thank you all again for helping me to help you to make our 11th Ward better. I coined the phrase some months ago, the elevated 11th Ward, because that is my hope and dream and desire for this side of town, to elevate every system here to make it work for us. And with our current administration, I've been able to do a lot of things, and Mayor, I thank you for that. Oh, did you notice, by the way, I'm the only alder person in the city of St. Louis. I wear a uniform every day, including the shoes. So I have this ensemble in every color. So to see the mayor here this morning with a uniform shirt just does my heart wonders. Thank you.
Did that just for you, Alderwoman Keys. And just to piggyback on something she said about making sure you're a good partner, our neighborhood stabilization team is also here in the back. Please report anything that you see to CSB through either Twitter, online, or calling us, because if we can't be everywhere, we don't see everything, but you being good partners means that you can report those issues to CSB, and then we can investigate them. So let's go turn it over to the questions.
Great, thank you so much, Mayor Jones. Before we get started, we have a couple ground rules for the Q&A that I want to review with everyone. The first one is that you'll have 3 minutes to ask your question. Angela Pearson in the purple sweatshirt will be our timekeeper. She'll let you know when you have 1 minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and then when your time is up. The second ground rule is the most important. Be respectful. I know a lot of folks are really passionate about a myriad of different issues, and the most important thing is that we be respectful today. Next ground rule is limit your question to a question. So I know folks have a lot of things on their minds, but make sure that you always ask a question. Lastly, please state your name, your zip code, or your neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mayor Jones, for addressing the Northside community today. My name is Sayali Moyenda, and I'm part of the Black Power Blueprint and the African People's Education and Defense Fund, better known as APEDF, which is the baddest nonprofit on the planet. And just to say, in all of our community work for the past 8 years in the O'Fallon and College neighborhoods, we have faced opposition from the city, from city leaders, departments, and agencies. We've had to struggle every step of the way just to bring basic resources to our community. And we've been told that the North Side doesn't deserve a basketball court, doesn't deserve a community garden, farmer's market, or a community center. And then in 2017, when you were running for mayor, you wrote, "What is killing this city is poverty, and what is killing our region is systemic racism that pervades every public and private institution." And now these conditions still exist today in 2024, and your silence hides behind a white woman who claims to speak for the black community as a representative of a neighborhood association to block the opening of a rural bakery cafe on West Florissant, which is considered a food desert. And it should have been opened 6 months ago as a gathering and eating place for the community, but it still remains shut. And even during COVID, the Golden State Warriors basketball player Stephen Curry gave away 1,000 of our rural sweet potato pies to the community in Oakland, California. And the black community of St. Louis should be able to enjoy them as well. So my question is, why have you not responded to our invitations to come visit the uplifting progress of the Black Power Blueprint, or answered our calls and requests for a meeting about the Rural Bakery and Cafe? And will you, as mayor, step up and concretely support independent small black businesses to open and thrive on the North Side? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think that my work speaks for itself, and how we have been intentional about the funds that we have received through the American Rescue Plan Act, we have diverted or intentionally invested over $200 million in North City through a myriad of efforts, through direct payments, through our GBI program, our basic income program, through supporting communities, through our Office of Violence Prevention, through the establishment of the North Side Economic Empowerment Center, and also through the purchasing of the old Killark Electrical Facility, which is going to become a world-class workforce hub called the Monarch on MLK. A lot of businesses along MLK are currently in the process of receiving or being approved on the final approval process of the SLDC North Corridor Grant Program. And that program will be, by the end of this month, hopefully, most of our grant recipients will have received their grant funds for that program.
Thank you so much, Mayor Jones.
How you doing? Okay, wow. My name is Prince Carter. I'm from 63115, and I'm not going to say anything about the ARPA funds because, as the mayor stated, they're pretty much all gone now. However, my deepest concern is something that we all need to be concerned with, and that is the police department and the chief of police not enforcing traffic laws, and these cars are riding amok, killing people, hitting and running, and there's no accountability and there's no enforcement on traffic laws, which is causing our insurances to go up, and those of us that have insurance have to pay more because people can ride around for 2 and 3 years without license plates with bald tires and slide and tear up everything, and we have to foot the bill for that. But the chief is so busy not paying attention to that he doesn't even know it's happening and not doing anything about it. If you all are short-staffed, why can't some of these white shirts and lieutenants and captains pull over some of these cars and give out some of these tickets? There's a way to do these things. We must be concerned about these people driving amok in our community because we're all at risk. And if it don't get you in the beginning, it's going to get you in the end. It's going to be a residual effect. And it's hitting our pockets with these insurance prices going up because they're not enforcing traffic laws.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. So we also passed the Automated Camera Enforcement Act. We're going to be bringing red light cameras back to our streets. And when we passed that act, we wanted to make sure that we do not target already vulnerable communities. The money that we collect from red light camera violations will go towards a fund that will help improve our streets and our street safety. But I'm also going to turn it over to Chief Tracy to talk about what he's been doing in traffic enforcement.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, for that question. This year and years past, last year we gave out 32,000 summonses. So our officers are out there doing the job with the staffing that we do have. 7,000 of those summonses were for unlicensed or expired tags. We are addressing the issue, but this issue is just not a St. Louis issue. This is a regional issue or a national issue coming out of the pandemic. There was a lot of things that have slowed down with traffic enforcement because people didn't want to get each other sick coming out of the pandemic. So behavior has changed throughout the United States. My last police department, I was hearing the same complaints on the East Coast that I'm hearing today. We understand it. Yes, there's an emboldenment of some drivers out there that continue to drive recklessly. We're trying to pull that back. We've asked to get some technology involved that we have in other cities that help us, that the mayor just talked about through the Board of Alders and the mayor signing off on this bill. That is going to help us with the technology part. And then that'll lower the amount of people that are driving recklessly because we can hold them accountable through technology. And then we try to get the ones that can continue to drive recklessly. We see that, we're aware of it, and it's something that we continue to stay on top of. We're also working with our state partners and also the county partners. If you go to our website, you can see dozens, more than a dozen, almost 24 missions that we do with the state police on the highways. And we make sure that we've done well over a few hundred car stops during those missions and given out 1,000 summonses over the course of the year. That's on our website. We want to be as transparent as possible to make sure that we're holding people accountable and then putting public service announcements out. And then when you do see one of these incidents that turns very badly, making sure that everybody's aware of the damage that can be done to our community. We are acutely aware of that, and it's something that we're going to continue to work on. And then talking about personnel, We are bringing more personnel. The mayor talked about 12 people graduating 2 weeks ago. We put 25 kids, when I say recruits, applicants in the academy, eight weeks ago. It's down to about 20. And then on Monday, we're going to be putting 33 applicants again in. So we're trying to get the cavalry, the support, but in the meantime, we take it very seriously and we track these things, and we track locations that we hear from the community that are areas that we need to really patrol and do directed patrol and do that enforcement. So it is important to us, and it's very important, and thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Chief Tracy.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Mayor and your staff. First, I want to say thanks to what you're doing for the city, but I do have to say that I'm very passionate and disappointed that Alderman Boyd's board bill is not being supported. I really need you to take a look at North City when you leave here today. Derelict houses, stop signs falling down, crime, trash. We should be a priority. A lot of our other neighborhoods are beautiful. North City has been last for decades. Our schools are closed, they're graffiti. Our children are walking around seeing this, and it's not fair. Consider North City. Make us better first, Mayor. My mother is 78 years old, and she worked for Boeing, and she's retired now. She has to come and go in her home at certain hours because of what this gentleman said. She's afraid. I am afraid. I was a veteran. It is horrible. Last night, I left my 95-year-old aunt's birthday party, and I was followed on Lee, and I had to ride around the neighborhood so they couldn't figure out where I lived, and my brother met with me. It is imperative that you get these houses boarded up, you hold these people accountable, put some money in our neighborhoods now, not later. I totally appreciate you, and I'm voting for you. So everybody can get mad at me, you're my mayor. But you have to look at North City, Central West End, beautiful. We know all the beautiful areas. I sent you a video because I wanted you to know how heartfelt it means to us for our community. We have babies who walk to school at City Academy and have to look at Scullin School on Lee and Kings Highway. That's not fair to us. It is not fair. I'm pleading with you, your staff, your cabinet, everybody. Please look at North City and these other underserved neighborhoods. Our Family Dollars are closing. Our Walgreens are closing. We know the Delmore Divide. We know when you cross over Leeds to St. Louis, you and the Fox. Come on, man. Please just look at us. We matter, and I know you're thinking about us, and your bill may be already decided on, but whatever money you have, put it to us first. We have so many vacant lots, streets with two homes on the street. That's deplorable. That's not cool. It is not. And then I want to say this. My son came to visit, and he said, when I came here, when I was a little boy, it was so beautiful, and now it's ridiculous. So thank you.
So many of you have heard me talk about how I grew up. I grew up just down the street from here, 5963 Summit Place. And when I was 9 or 10 years old, I felt safe walking up and down West Florissant to go to school, to go to the library, to go buy cigarettes from my mother at the community store, which I shouldn't have been doing. And right now, and I still live on the north side, so I see it every day too. And because I see it every day, I have been intentional about the money that we have received to make sure it goes to the north side first, because our city can't succeed if over half is left to fail, and over half of our city has been left to fail for decades, for at least 7 decades, older than I have been alive. And we didn't get here overnight. And we won't get out of it in 1 term or 2 terms. But we are doing the work to tear down old, dilapidated, vacant buildings and boarding those up. We're holding bad property owners accountable by telling them either fix up your eyesore in the community or we will fix it for you and send you the bill. We've been able to do that in almost 100 cases, and a third of them have fixed it up themselves. The other 2/3 have let us fix it, and then we sell it back to the community so it can become a tax-generating asset. We're making the right investments, but we can't get to where North St. Louis used to look like. It won't happen overnight. But please know that we are making the investments. LRA is tearing down 1,000 vacant properties in North St. Louis. We're taking a block-by-block approach. And we're also selling properties where we can, if they can't be stabilized through Prop NS, which was passed several years ago with Sunday Whiteside, may she rest in peace. Where we can't stabilize it, or where we can, we're stabilizing and selling those too. But I mean, Alderwoman Keys will tell you that her ward didn't start looking like that overnight. This was an intentional, systemic decision by previous administrations not to invest in North St. Louis. And so for me, it's a systemic and intentional decision to invest in North St. Louis, because we can't show everybody south of Delmar shoulders the tax burden for the rest of the city. That's not fair either. And I made a choice to move north of Delmar. My son and I live across the street from my dad, but again, across the street from me, all vacant land and 2 houses. So I'm in it as well. I want to see better. I want a developer to come to my block and develop the other side of my street. But please know that it's personal for me too. It's personal for me too, but it won't happen in 3.5 years, 4 years. It got like this because people made intentional decisions to neglect us and to leave us alone. And I'm making intentional decisions to pay attention to us and pour into us and invest in us in a myriad of different ways. But it's coming. It's coming. I just need you to have patience and grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jones.
Hi, my name is Annette Shaw. I live in 63118. I am a 10-year transplant resident in St. Louis, and I am also a small business owner in South City as well. I'm happy that you're taking a different approach to the nuisance properties, but I've had one next door to my home for the last 3 years. I've reported it several times. There are, sorry, I know I'm tall. there are squatters that have taken over the house adjacent to me, to the left, across the alley from me, across the street from me, also down the block from me. It's almost like a bit of a takeover. I'd like to know, beyond contacting my neighborhood improvement officer, emailing my alderman's secretary, email chains for years, plenty of pictures, videos, documentation. What am I to do?
Okay, my name's John McLaughlin. I'm in charge of the Neighborhood Nuisance Problem Property Initiative. So I want to give you some resources that you have available to you. Each patrol area has a problem property officer that works with the police department. They work with a team of city councilors who look at the calls for service and the activity and actions that are at those properties to determine a course of action. And we bring in other resources such as the building division, the neighborhood improvement specialist, and such. So my advice would be to you is I will, after the meeting, give you your contact of your district nuisance problem property officer. We'll bring it back to the team and look and see what's going on there. If it's a behavioral issue and if it's owner occupied, or if it's a squatter issue, we may work through the building division to deal with that, to determine whether there's a valid occupancy permit or whether there is an owner who is responsible. We will get to that point. I don't have all the answers or solutions that I can give you right now, but what I can tell you is I have a team. The mayor has given us the resources, but we have a team of people that are able to take the time to dissect the problem and to come up with a solution. So I'll meet with you afterwards, and I will introduce you to your district nuisance problem property officer and the team, and we'll work on that problem together.
And ma'am, give us the addresses too, so we can target them. We'll move on that first thing Monday morning, okay?
Yes. Yes. And also, as a small business owner, I do backgrounds and fingerprints. The city of St. Louis has a contract with a company, Identigo. It's a global company. It's not even national. They have a monopoly pretty much on the services, those services that the city of St. Louis uses. They do have partnerships that they do, but I really feel like that is a loophole. I have applied to partner with them quarterly for the last 2 years. Always been denied, finally asked them why, and they said because they don't need any more services provided. I know that's not true. I want to know, as a small business owner, how do I compete with a global company that the city has basically given autonomy to?
Good morning, ma'am. I probably am the best person to answer your question. So, Identigo, and there have been many incantations of that contract. Identigo took over in 2018, in August of 2018. I owned St. Louis Fingerprints, which was the largest independently owned biometric fingerprinting site in the state of Missouri. I had 6 locations. That was under the previous. It started off as L1. It went to Cogent. It went, because the contract changes every 5 years, okay? So the contract is awarded by the Missouri State Highway Patrol and the FBI every 5 years to a contractor. In 2018, Identigo got the contract. They won it back from Cogent, and they immediately changed the fee structure. And that was when I decided I'm closing my business, okay? So that's not something that the city is tied to. That is under the FBI and the Missouri State Highway Patrol. And so I wish I had better answers for you, but I have the inside information. So I do want you to have the information, and I understand your struggle. I came in at the very best time because I was able to grow my business. Almost every 6 months, I was opening a new location within my first 3 years. But as the contract changes every 5 years, now Identigo has it. They have a totally different way of doing business. We scan more than 4,000 people every month. And so I would, I know you do. And it was nice. It was nice, but they changed the fee structure, So unfortunately, really the best thing would be to find out when the next cycle is coming and see who all is bidding for that contract. All of them have to bid, okay? So I hope that helps. And I'm happy to talk to you more about it, if you like, since I was in the business for 13 years. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alderwoman Keyes. Before we move on to our next question, our vaccines are still available. They'll be here until noon. So if you want to avoid a long line or a wait, I would recommend doing that right now. You'll still be able to hear everything. They're just on the other side of the divider. Okay, thank you.
My name is Gordon Carlson. I've been a resident of the West End for over 45 years. Item 1 is what is being done to address lead pipes taking water into people's homes. Many of my neighbors have lead pipes feeding their house, and it seems that the discussion of the RAMS money has been for replacing water mains. But many of my neighbors are being poisoned by lead water lines and they don't have the money to replace them. Item number 2 is the fact that in the 1990s, Ford School just north of Page on Clara, the staff there estimated that 50% of the children coming into Ford School were crack babies. Now they are parents. We need more community centers, and so we need to get the community center that the city owns and has boarded up on Enright and Union back open so that we can have programs to help parents raise their kids because the parents are having a hard time doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's currently an RFP for the West End Rec Center. We would like a private partner to come in and redevelop that property and for community use. And I was hoping that someone from the water department was here to address.
Angela's going to answer the question.
There's.
I don't know where he went, but thank you for your question. Just so everyone knows, recently, if you're a homeowner, you probably received a letter in the mail. The EPA, which is a federal organization, the Environmental Protection Agency, mandated that every municipality in the nation send these letters to homeowners. This is a standard routine practice that everyone be aware that your pipes may potentially be a lead pipe. We have to notify you of that possibility. You as a homeowner have the ability to go into your basement and you can look and see if you have a lead pipe, if you have a PVC pipe, you'll be able to know and tell yourself. So to your question about the possibility of lead poisoning, that is something that of course we're concerned about, but the likelihood is very low. I will also say that because our water quality is the best in the nation, that the likelihood of lead poisoning being possible and present in St. Louis is very low. So again, that was a precautionary mandate that we had to do. Every city in the state or in the nation had to do that. So thank you for your question. And if you have any other questions, you can also go to the Water Department's website. They have a Q&A. You can look, and all your questions will be answered there.
Thanks, Angela. Can you guys talk? Because I want to get through everybody. Thank you, Angela. Okay. Can you say your name?
Yes, my name is Len Demmer. I'm a resident of 63118, and I work in 63115. So I see that the St. Louis Reparations Commission, which was established in 2022, released a report a few days ago documenting the injustices that have plagued the African community in this city for decades. And Vice Chair Will Ross made it clear that from all the research and testimonies, it's evident that the injustices were intentional. He acknowledged that the city had to address some really deep core issues in the community around trust, around transparency, around racial healing and restorative justice. And I'm a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Organization. Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. And this organization was formed almost 50 years ago by Omali Yeshitela, who's the founder and the leader of the Uhuru Freedom Movement. And he made reparations a household word, starting with the International Tribunal on Reparations for Black People in the US in Brooklyn, New York in '82. And we work to bring reparations to the Black community, which is what you can see on the West Florissant corridor. That is where the reparations have been going, to build up the north side. So today, a third of the Black community of North St. Louis lives below the poverty line on less than $5 a day. Businesses and resources are not available in this community. Life expectancy is 17 years less than for white people in Clayton, which is just 15 minutes away. And infant mortality is less than 2.5 times that of the white community. So there's no viable economy or economic development here. There's no access to fresh food, only police, code enforcement, and fines. And this is the same ongoing extraction of resources daily, now, today. So my question is, well, one is that you did not really address Mr. Moyenda's question. And why won't you come, Mayor Jones, why won't you come and visit the Black Power Blueprint and see the beautiful projects? And why won't you open the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe when APEDF has followed all of the laws and procedures? Why? Why won't you do that? And my other question is, when are you going to free up the RAM settlement and the city surplus for this community for genuine economic development in this community's hands and for what the community wants to build? What services are coming here? If you can answer those questions, please. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name's Jared Boyd. With respect to, I guess, seems like the issue that you're raising is a zoning and permitting issue that is an administrative function that our office typically is not involved with. People assume that the mayor is responsible for everything that happens in the city of St. Louis. There are routine land use issues that go through the Board of Adjustment, which has nothing to do with the city of St. Louis. So it is my understanding that we're dealing with a zoning issue, and the building commissioner is here, and I don't think he's had personal involvement with it, but he may be able to provide some context and also to discuss like who are the actors that are involved with these issues. Like I said, sometimes people assume that the mayor's office is directly involved with every aspect of city government. There are administrative functions that start in departments, and that is because they are applying specific aspects of the law. So Ed, if you can give us some context as well.
So I really don't have any details about this bakery. I recognize one of the photos in this sign over here as being the zoning administrator. My assumption is that something occurred through the Board of Adjustment. So I'm not going to mislead you. I'm not going to tell you I know why this occurred or what the situations were. I'm not that type of person. If you'd like, I can take the address, follow through, have myself or somebody from my staff reach back to you and talk about what the issue is. I'll gladly do that. I have no problems with that whatsoever. If anybody wants to see me after the meeting about this bakery, please do so. I'm available. And we will follow up, and then we'll discuss the issue. Is that fair?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ed. You're welcome. Okay, we're going to take questions for 15 more minutes. So in order to make sure everyone gets a chance to ask their question, please be as brief as possible. Thank you so much.
Yes, my name is Marty D. Speichner. I live at 63115. And one of the definitions of insanity is to keep doing the same things over and over again and getting the same results. I worked for the city water department for many years, and I witnessed the lead lines and stuff to the buildings. But one thing that needs to be changed, before you pave the streets, you need to repair the streets. And the streets need to be repaired. Those lines need to be repaired because all they do is cause that new pavement to sink into the ground. And then you have to do the same thing over and over again. My other question is, I'm a black musician. I've been a musician for many years. And one of the major places that I played at is BB's Jazz, Blues, and Soups. It deserves to be made a historical land site because it supported black musicians and has a history of black music being played down there. And it needs to be made a historic landmark. And I'd like to know how that can be done and who I would have to talk to get that done, because I do have some papers in history about BB's because it supports the black community too. And we do need to have places where musicians or kids are learning these instruments. I'm not worried about just me, but the musicians coming up behind me that want to have a place to play.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm Don Rowe. I'm the director of the Planning and Urban Design Agency, and the Office of Cultural Resources is under me.
Can you speak into the mic, Don?
The Office of Cultural Resources is under my jurisdiction, and we purposely have renamed it to that. It's generally known as historic preservation. So places that have activities that are historic, places that are architecturally historic are all of interest to us, and for them to be in one of the types of categories that we could identify and respect them for being that. Happily talk to you afterwards about doing that.
Thank you, Don Rosie. This is what Cabinet is in Community is about. We have cabinet members and other staff who can answer your questions in real time and follow up. Next question.
Hi, my name is Annette Smith, and I live in the Fountain Park area. And my concern is I was shot July 29, 2021. A stray bullet came through my second bedroom window. And my problem is that the St. Louis Metropolitan Police did not do what they should have done. I gave them vital information. I was really doing the investigation myself. I never met with the detectives. I filed a complaint against the police department. I did internal affairs. They investigated. Then I filed a complaint. I went to the Civilian Oversight Board. I reached out to your office, Mayor, and apparently someone at your office contacted Chief Hayden then, and he called me and apologized and said someone would come out and speak to me. Never happened to this day. And when I said within a week, I gave names, I gave addresses, and it's like the St. Louis Police Department failed me. And I reached out to your office 3 weeks ago, and they told me that I had to submit a request to have a meet with you. I did that. And I reached out to Chris Hayes about this situation on Channel 2. And he reached out to the police department, and he said his reach out was unanswered, and he interviewed me May of this year. We did an interview against the police department. My question is, the Civilian Oversight Board, when are they going to start hearing cases on the dockets? Because my case, I mean, they failed me. They really failed me. And Chief Tracy, I met with you at Centennial, and I gave you information, and it was someone with you. I told you a little about the story, and someone with you took my name and email. Never heard anything back from no one. No follow-up.
So for the Civilian Oversight Board, I will probably push that, give it back to the mayor. But let me answer the question. 2021, when you had the non-fatal shooting, I'm sorry that you went through that. What I'd like to do is I have my Lieutenant Colonel, who's in the back of the room, Kreisman. I have the commander of the 6th District. I have my communications director here. I would like them just to get together with you. Let's get all this information, and I'll also make sure that one of the 6th District detectives, non-fatal shooting team, talk to you, reopen or review this case again. And if you have vital information, we'd like to use that. And it will definitely make sure that we get that done. They're here. They've identified who you are right now, and making sure that they'll make sure they'll follow up. As far as with the Oversight Board, Mayor, I'm going to give this back over to you.
The Civilian Oversight Board just hired a new director, and also we had to do replacements on the board, so it took us a while to get those through and approved through the Board of Aldermen. So now we should have a full Civilian Oversight Board and a director and investigator. So we have been rebuilding that department, and so as soon as the other board members are trained, they should be able to start investigating cases again.
Thank you, Mayor.
Hi, my name is Anita Brown. I stay in North St. Louis. I'm in the Baden area, and my concern is North St. Louis in my area. Mayor, I heard you called off all the streets that's going to be paved, they're going to redo, but I didn't hear Broadway, on North Broadway out in Baden. That street need to be done. And we got old houses and buildings that been up like 20, 30 years, buildings burnt down that should be coming down off of Broadway. I reached out to Pamela Board, sent her a picture of one of the buildings, and also was concerned about one of the filling stations there, which you all said y'all gonna close it eventually. But North St. Louis and that area been elected. And people, what I was hearing at one of your last meetings, you know, I know some people don't want to, open up business or spend money. I know we need revenue, but then they talk about crime. Black communities ain't the only community that do crime. We got crime everywhere. Ladue, Kirkwood, wherever, it's crime everywhere, but they invest in them cities. We have good people in North St. Louis. Their Broadway streets, and even down by Salisbury, you go over to North St. Louis, all them streets is regular. I'm glad they're putting Union there, because Union Streets is regular as well, But and Baden deserved to have them streets done and reserve them houses to be pulled down. And also, I know we need revenue, because when business move out, they take money out. But I would like to see people in my neighborhood with business that look like me. You keep giving these people permits and loans, and you put them in the black community, and they do not invest in the black community. They take money out the black community. They do not stand with us. And that's enough is enough. Every corner you see, they do not look like us, and they not for us. And then another thing, because I'm living in the neighborhood, some of the biggest dope dealers there is. They got to go. They need to be investigated. But my main thing, I want some money dropped in North St. Louis. I want them old buildings tore down. I sent a picture of a corner of a place on the corner of North St. Louis. And I just think that's a spot that they can cut the grass, beautify, put some flowers and stuff in. I sent it to Miss Boyd and them. And these are just things to be done. She didn't seem too happy with it because she asked me, who did I tell since the building been up for 2 years? I told her, well, I'm telling you now because you in office. Something needs to be done. Take that money, put in Baden, in North St. Louis. We want to see flower pops, and we want some new lights in North St. Louis on Broadway. We want some new lights. Not, give us all of that. We deserve that. Everybody else gets it. They got crime, and it don't matter that it's not business in our neighborhood. Maybe that'll help bring business in our neighborhood. I'm asking for that. And then also, I'm kind of concerned about the police department. I'm scared that black community is going to be targeted again. I do not want to see my young black men and women shot down and excuses made why they've been shot. Mayor, you're going to have to watch out for that and stand up on that and keep an eye on that. We're not going to have our people shot down like dogs and be lied to. And we know our neighborhood always the one to be targeted when it comes down to tickets and everything. Can't do this. Please.
Okay, we'll take the next question.
Okay. My name is Tamika Steigers. I live in the 63112 zip code on the west side of the city. I am a small business owner. We have been engaging since the summer with trying to get restitution, and we're fighting for small businesses in North City. So per SLDC's Commission Independent Audit Report from Armanino that was done just recently, the City of St. Louis sought these awards to provide resources needed to address the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you explain or justify the funds of any amount, but particularly those that are 6 figures or higher, addressing the impacts of a pandemic for a company that did not exist prior to August of 2023? We continuously hear that these funds were for businesses who were disproportionately impacted from COVID-19. But when you release funds or name organizations to receive funds who were just formed in 2023, that doesn't connect. There was no impact from these businesses because they weren't around during the height of COVID-19. How do you also explain awarding organizations, specifically large nonprofit organizations, who actually had increases in their revenues when COVID-19 happened, to then 6 figures or more funds? We have a number of small businesses that have closed their doors because of COVID-19. We had a mandatory shutdown for non-essential businesses, and so we had to close our doors for several months. Many of those businesses applied for this SLDC North City Small Business Grant and were not awarded funds. There were applications that have been lost mysteriously, applications that are not on the transparency portal. There is a lack of transparency in the city of St. Louis with this administration. We have an SLDC portal that has pieces of applications, that has no budgets, that has no applications. Most of the businesses that are awarded the large amounts had to do a totally separate application. Most people don't even know that. They're not in the portal. We need transparency. So how do you award businesses money. That's the basis of the question. There's a lot of pieces to this, but how do you think it's fair to award businesses money that were just formed in 2023?
All right. So the Northside Corridor program that's just been discussed, really it's $37 million sounds like a lot of money, but there were 700 applications for over $400 million. So what we saw is that there was a huge demand based upon decades of disinvestment. So about $34 million for $400 million of applications. There were small organizations that had applied. So out of those, there were about 500 businesses or organizations that applied in. SLDC had to teach some of these businesses or work with them on how to submit budgets, how to handle federal money, because that's difficult. So it did take a long time to work with those businesses. I'm getting there. And the other thing about this business program or corridor program, it is intended to help both businesses and communities. So one of the proposals that has been conditionally awarded is to bring a Sweetie Pies to Kings Highway and a whole basically economic development anchored around that restaurant, because we know being able to go to a restaurant in that neighborhood after church, after a family gathering, is difficult. So being able to stay in that neighborhood to do that, that is a new business. So the program is intended to help businesses and help communities. So yes, there are businesses that are intended to help the communities that have been disinvested and impacted by COVID. So yes, that is one of the reasons why some of the businesses are being helped. But as I said before, we understand that this program is not a silver bullet. When you have over $400 million of need, of desire for grants with only $34 million. So the hope is that these grants can help catalyze other businesses, get other forms of funding. But it's, like I said, it shows that we need continued investment in these areas. And unfortunately, with $400 million in request, everyone's full needs could not be taken into account.
Thank you, Jared. Okay, we're gonna try to be quick. So I have a question. Be brief.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Mayor, could you please answer my question? I don't want nobody else to answer but you, please. My question is this. We had all this money, $498 million. I went to Herb Hoover Boys Club. I grew up there. My question is this. I had a lot of friends get killed for gun violence growing up in my neighborhood in North St. Louis. I went to Herbert Hoover. I went to Urban League. None of them had money for tutoring. How do we get $498 million and we're not tutoring our kids in the community? That makes no sense at all. We should have money for tutoring for our kids. We should open up these other community centers that we should be opening up. We started a business to teach our kids Black history. Why do we think our kids are killing each other? They don't know their history. I know you know these answers to the same questions I'm saying, but ain't nobody doing nothing about it the way it should be done. And the other thing is, what are we going to do about all the businesses that did not get money? We should be a new Black Atlanta right now. We should be Black Atlanta. And Atlanta did the same thing. They took the money and gave it to their people. We gave it to certain businesses, but I go to Herbert Hoover and I can't even get no money for tutoring for the kids. They say they're out of money, but you all gave them $2 million. We had a business that could have started that and got tutoring for the kids when all the kids was in COVID suffering. Why didn't we do something about it? We both are educated. You know me, I know you. We both are educated. Why can't you do something about the things that I know you know something about? And now that we got a chance to do it and you still got the money, why not do it? And why, Sweetie Pies was on TV. I am not concerned with that right now. I'm concerned with the people that started businesses that lost money during COVID that you still have not helped. And can we do something about that? And please don't duck my question, answer it and talk to me.
So our rec centers, all of our rec centers receive money to improve their services and to open late on the weekends, to tutor our children, and to provide resources for our young people. We made robust investments in our youth and young people through our rec centers, through our SLATE program, through Youth Build. Many of you may have seen there were a bunch of kids in blue sweatshirts that left here earlier. Today it was about 20 of them. They are part of our Youth Build program, which takes children and connects them with trades, helps them get their GED so they can get good paying union jobs in our trades. To say that we haven't invested in our young people is an outright lie. Through our Office of Violence Prevention, we do a lot of work with our schools and communities. We fund over 50 organizations, community organizations through the Office of Violence Prevention to make sure that they are not only reaching those who have experienced violence, who have the propensity to commit violence, but also to prevent violence in our communities. And in the neighborhoods that they have served, they have reduced homicides by over 70%. So to say that we are not investing in North St. Louis, we're not investing in our communities is just wrong. And just because you can't see those investments on a day-to-day basis doesn't mean that they're not happening. A lot of this work happens behind the scenes. A lot of this work happens in community. It happens in our rec centers. It happens here at the YMCA. And also this work takes time. North St. Louis, and I said this before, North St. Louis has looked like this for decades. And we won't get out of it in 3.5 years. We won't get out of it in 1 term or 2. But you have to trust that this is something that's important to me, and it's something that is my top priority. And just like Jared said earlier with the Northside the Northside Grant Program, we had over $400 million in applications for $34 million in funds that was set aside by the Board of Aldermen. The Board of Aldermen put that bill together to make sure that there was money for this program, and they set the amount. And we had a whole host of competing needs. $500 million is not enough to solve every problem that the city of St. Louis has. And then with the RAMS money, we're trying to make sure that we have this money for many, many generations to come, not spending on one-time projects. Because if we spend it on one-time projects, it'll be gone. And then we know what administration is coming after January 20th of next year. And we know that this current administration, the Biden-Harris administration, loves cities and poured resources into cities. We don't know if we're going to see the same with the Trump administration. We don't know what's coming on. So the money that we have to hold on to, and we have to find ways to make that money revolve several times in our community so everybody gets an opportunity to thrive.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. Okay, we have 4 questions left, and then we'll be finished.
Good afternoon. My name is Una Rogers. My zip code is 63136. My main focal point to the whole group up there and all those in support is accountability. You don't want to take your child to the doctor and the doctor can't do anything. So when I first lived in the north side was 1967. The flight was going on unbeknownst to me because I was a kid. As an adult, I remember receiving a letter a long time ago about the city wanted to correct something on my home. I did. Now homes are falling apart, steps are breaking up, and railings are shaking. I also want to suggest CCTV in that area. Infrastructure. The last time I asked this question, it was Lyda Cruson and John Hayden. What are your plans for the infrastructure of North St. Louis? That's been a long time, and I don't see anything improving. Instead of property value going up or staying the same, property value has sunk. I was hung up on by CSB, by a female, just because I asked her name. I told you that, Mr. Coyle, at another meeting. And so I called back because I want to talk about the properties that need repairing that somebody has bought through LRA and are sitting on them. They're not doing anything. Now, you give me a letter to fix my property, but you can't take back the property of these people who are letting houses go down. Shooting, not just the 4th of July, just because. It could be somebody's birthday and you hear gunfire stuff going all over the place. That's not safe and doesn't make you feel secure about your neighborhood. There is a vehicle that has been sitting right across from my high school, Northwest High School, on the corner by a fire hydrant. Ain't nobody put a ticket on it and ain't been told. That's months, years. Black, I got a picture of it if you want to see it. Grand and I-70, when you leave there going south, you're in areas that don't have anything but maybe a Family Dollar or a Dollar Tree, which does not a grocery store make. You only have Aldi's. But as soon as you get to Powell Symphony Hall, you're in La La Land. So what is going on that side that can't be done on this side? I have a 3-bedroom house, and I looked in here, and they got 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom houses in certain areas. They want 6 figures for them. But why am I getting all these phone calls about buying my home? NGA gets finished, them people ain't gonna wanna live in St. Peter's and drive all the way down there. They wanna come in and let our property value go down so they can buy it up for cheap, and then we get sent somewhere else. I'm not moving unless I want to. Thank you.
My name is Deborah Warren. I'm known as Fofi, and my zip code is 63115. Thank you, Mayor Jones, for being here today to hear our perspective and where we are, what we're fighting for. The conditions here on the north side are not due to the shortcomings of the community. Our labor and our resources have historically produced wealth for others at our expense, which keeps our neighborhoods resource starved, and the Central West End, Tower Grove Park, and the Delmar Loop developed and flourishing. In a disgrace that the city allows our community to live in a derelict housing with the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment, poverty, and limited access to fresh food when you have the power to change it. If you do not have the power, then please direct us to who does. In 2021, St. Louis received nearly $500 million in a fund from the COVID-19. The city received this money because of the impact COVID-19 had on the St. Louis city community, including Black small businesses. COVID money should not go to white developers that pushed it out the community. The COVID money was not designed to fill the coffers of the Urban League and doesn't really need the $2 million that was promised. It's not to satisfy the needs of political cronies or relatives of city politicians. We are not to be glossed over to build up downtown and to surrounding areas of the NGA that really destroyed an African community to be built in the beginning. Why isn't the whole $498 million going to the north side as intended?
So I'll answer your last question first. The whole $498 million cannot go just to one community because I'm not just the mayor of the north side, I'm the mayor of the entire city of St. Louis. And so we were very intentional, once again, about making sure that we spent a good amount of COVID money or ARPA dollars in North St. Louis to support businesses and families, but as well as support the city. So I'll give you a laundry list of everything that we did with the ARPA money. We purchased 2 fire trucks, 7 fire pumpers, 9 electric vehicles, 2 mobile health clinics, 8 ambulances, 550 pieces of new voting equipment, allowing you to vote in any precinct. We renovated Hyde Park and Marquette Park. We started paving Kings Highway with Union, Goodfellow, and Jefferson to follow. We broke ground on the new 911 dispatch center. We purchased the old Killark electrical facility on Dr. Martin Luther King and Vanderventer, renovating it to be a world-class workforce development center and hub for city services. We opened the Northside Economic Empowerment Center in Sumner High School. We issued over 900 small business grants, issued 49 grants to child care providers, issued 220 grants to local artists, issued a record number of citations for illegal dumping thanks to cameras purchased with ARPA dollars. We opened a sobering center for those who are experiencing substance abuse. We helped Peter and Paul open a new homeless shelter to serve more clients. We doubled the number of tiny homes in our tiny home village and helped build tiny homes for veterans. We opened a safe haven shelter to quickly get our unhoused neighbors off the streets, stabilized 52 buildings which are now ready for development, opened more warming centers which served 1,000 of our unhoused neighbors, painted 2 murals in every ward, passed out over 1,200 gun locks, completed the engagement for the Transportation and Mobility Plan, started Save Lives Now, which is our regional plan to reduce crime by additional 20% over the next 3 years, issued one-time $500 payments to 9,300 families, most of which were in North St. Louis, issued 750 youth with linked 750 youth and young people with year-round youth jobs, and more. So there's a QR code that's available on a door hanger that's around that you can go and see all of the other investments that we've made. But please know that most of our investment did go to North St. Louis. But again, North St. Louis, and I'll say this over and over again, North St. Louis didn't get like this overnight. And it won't get back to where we know it can be in 3.5 years. I need everybody in here to listen to me. We have to have the patience and the time in order to rebuild our community, and that is a priority of this administration. And we're also making Fairground Park. I see Mary Wheeler-Jones here. We've been working with Fairground Park to make sure that we have resurfaced the basketball, tennis courts, and pickleball courts in Fairground Park and other parks around the city. We've also have Wi-Fi, expanded free Wi-Fi in 9 parks. And we'll soon expand Wi-Fi. You'll be able to go along Martin Luther King everywhere from Grand to the city, west to the city limits and get free Wi-Fi. There are a whole host of things that we are doing with ARPA funds in North St. Louis, and it's just going to take patience and time for you to see all of the things that we're doing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor. My name is Ikinge Maele, and I'm in the 63115 zip code. Just want to say that I'm not clear on why you did not address the questions that were answered by the first speaker with regard to the African People's Education and Defense Fund, and I heard some response to zoning, et cetera, for Uhuru Foods and Bakeries, when an invitation was extended to the mayor specifically for a nonprofit organization that is doing great work right up here on West Florissant, not far from here, and I would think that at minimum what the mayor could do is support that particular support. Just come and see, if nothing else, let alone be able to respond to the questions. That's why people are here, to get their questions answered. With regard to that, I want to quote you. You said, I'm not using tax incentives for development, but I want to make sure that we're using incentives for blighted areas as intended, and not just to build up the central part of the city, and that incentives must offer community benefit agreements, and we need to make sure there's a priority for those who are living in the area to get jobs created by the development, and that those jobs are living wage jobs, and that they lead to real investment in the community, which I think most people can attest to the fact that we're not seeing that, which is why we're here, to raise the question. The NGA is coming in, tearing down everything, not building anything back. And with regard to, you know, the Uhuru Bakery and the cafe that's still closed after 6 months of red tapes, that would have provided the ability for a roofer, a carpenter, an HVAC mechanic, an electrician, a plumber, cooks, bakers, and sales staff, a nonprofit organization that is losing between $2,000 to $6,000 a month, how is this economic development?
So I want to answer your question about economic development and jobs that have grown in this administration. So one of the first community benefit agreements that we were able to negotiate was with Deli Star, which moved from Illinois to St. Louis and opened a new facility on Shoto. And they were able to, we put together a benefits agreement that connected with our St. Louis public schools, so our kids graduating from high school had access to those jobs. And an entry-level job at Deli Star, which is a meat packing plant, where you get your lunch meat, can start at $60,000, $65,000 a year. So these are high schoolers coming right out of high school making $60,000, $65,000 a year through a community benefits agreement we negotiated with Deli Star. Same thing with Procter & Gamble, which is right over here at Grand and 70. When they expanded their facility, it was a national contest. We were competing against several other communities that had Procter & Gamble plants to expand facilities, and they chose St. Louis through a competitive process to expand their Procter & Gamble site. And again, we put together a community benefits agreement that gave high school students graduated from SLPS or a high school in the area direct access to jobs at Procter & Gamble. And those entry-level jobs also pay around $60,000, $65,000 a year. And I don't know if you know that all of the Cascade that you use in your dishwashers is made right here in North St. Louis. All of the Cascade in the country is made right here in North St. Louis. Recently, we broke ground on a $500 million battery plant also in North St. Louis. They were looking at a site on Carondelet, and they didn't want to leave the city, and we were able to find a place for them to go. So that's going to be a $500 million facility that's going to employ the trades in order to build that facility, and they're going to be expanded jobs. And we talk about NGA, but NGA has been working with the neighborhoods that surround it through a project called Project Connect to make sure that the improvements that happen in that neighborhood happen with the community, not to the community, and they can participate in the wealth building that will happen once those neighborhoods start to improve as a result of NGA. And the property around NGA is we worked with the neighborhoods there to start the eminent domain process. So people who have planted roots there can continue to stay there. We're going to make sure that we work with those neighborhood organizations to make sure that they can stay in those communities once those communities start to improve. So we have been hard at work creating jobs, creating new opportunities, and creating pathways for our young people to join the middle class in a myriad of ways.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Last question. Make it good.
My name is Mr. Fields. How you all doing? You hear good things and you hear bad things, and I want to commend you all for the good things that you do, Alderman, and Kimberly Collins for doing, she does a lot of hard work. And my questions is to the mayor and to the building commissioner. Ms. Tishaura Jones, I've been developing in St. Louis for a while. I'm low-key. And my question to you is that if I could, you say you got 10,000 by 2030 new units, you said? Is that correct? Okay, if I could talk to you one day, would that be okay?
Yes, so SLDC is going to be the primary department that's going to be managing the expansion of our housing. So I'll be more than happy to connect you with someone there.
Thank you for that. And my second question is to the building commissioner. How you doing, Mr. Ed Ware? Is it? Yeah. What do you do when you pay your bill and you're not credited for it? I understand that with the housing in St. Louis, you got properties that people are, don't, what they call it, empty properties that you pay, empty buildings that you pay fines on, and you pay your fines and they don't give you credit for it.
Well, it shouldn't. They keep track of that. They audit it very carefully. If you'd like, I can research the address you're talking about. Stay with me after this meeting and you're saying you paid a fine, but it's not accredited to your particular address or account?
Why don't you guys just connect after the meeting? It sounds like it's a specific issue.
Let's you and I talk and
Okay.
we'll get down to details, okay?
Okay, great. All righty. Do you have any closing remarks, Mayor Jones?
Thank you all for coming. God bless you. Good night. But Alderwoman Keys has a couple of announcements.
Again, thank everyone for being here and all of the great information and resources. Please take just a few minutes before everything wraps up to go around this room and take the literature and whatever swag bag. Get this stuff. Take it home. Don't sit it on the hall table. Take it home, and while you're sitting and looking at TV or drinking your morning coffee, go through this stuff and read it and see how it can be beneficial to you. Those people who are in the community, there is a meeting of the Penrose organization at 1 o'clock over at the Wesley House. And then we're going to have a tree lighting ceremony hosted by our mayor at 3:15 at Fairground Park at the corner of Grand and Natural Bridge. I am looking forward to seeing you out there. Bring the children for cocoa. Santa will be there, and chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Okay? So I will see you this evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day and have a happy holiday season.